Of all the mysteries that have captured the newspaper headlines, none has caused such embarrassment to the government of the day of the disappearance of the naval frogman, Commander Lionel Kenneth Philip Crabb, OBE GM RNVR, in the waters of Portsmouth Harbour, Hampshire, on 19 April 56. Crabb was carrying out an act of espionage that was so common as to be almost routine. But on that particular day the circumstances were so peculiar that the enterprise was fraught with the gravest political consequences should it go wrong, as it did, with catastrophic results in its wake. The joint leaders of the Soviet Union, Nikolai Bulganin and Nikita Khrushchev, were visiting Britain on a goodwill mission by which the British government, under the premiership of Sir Anthony Eden, set a great store for the improvement of East-West relations and the thawing of the Cold War. They had chosen to arrive by sea in the cruiser Ordzhonikidze, that's Ordzhonikidze, with a destroyer escort. So this cruiser had a destroyer escort with it, and the ships lay moored at Portsmouth Harbour while the Soviet leaders and their entourage travelled to London by train. Their proposed spying operation looked simple enough. Now the only reason the spies were called out is because there was a destroyer as an escort. Had the cruiser come on its own, there would not have been most possibly an espionage or spying operation. So what had to be done to safeguard the security of the nation. Right. In the previous year, British naval intelligence, which was then under Admiralty control, had made full use of the visit by this sister ship, the ORDZHONIKIRDZES sister ship, Sverdlov, SVERDLOV, to examine the new technology being incorporated in a generation of Soviet warships. So here's another. But if they were examining the new technology, there's no cause for spying on it if the Russians are saying you can come and have a look. Tests have been made by Navy submarines and RAF reconnaissance aircraft. The most meticulous examination was made by Crabb, who was selected for the task because he easily was the most experienced operator available. He was also a freelance, having been retired from the Navy a few months previously, and if anything went wrong he could be disowned, an usual fate of a freelance spy. Crabb's main task was to examine the submerged hull to see if the ship was fitted with a device codenamed Agouti, AGOUTI. This device reduced the effect of cavitation, CAVITATION, which is responsible for much of the noise made by ship's screws and increases the chance of long-range detection by sonar. Because of the depth and turbidity of the water, Crabb had to make his assessments by field, but he had become experienced at doing that through his work in removing limpet mines placed by enemy frogmen on the hulls of British ships during the course of the Second World War. The Sverdlov operation was regarded as a routine because whenever a British warship visited Leningrad, the harbour swarmed with frogmen blatantly performing the same jobs. Full authority had therefore been given for the project, and the Admiralty hoped that the same attitude would be taken with the ship ORDZHONIKIDZE before the latter arrived. However, intelligence operations of any kind against her were expressly forbidden by Eden because, with the Soviet leaders aboard, it was a highly sensitive political situation. Unfortunately for Crabb and for others, the order, which was interpreted by the Admiralty as coming from a wet Prime Minister, was widely disobeyed.